Back in 2003, I was in the Marine Corps, and I did a tour over in Iraq. I was with 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division. We were infantry. We were kicking down doors. We couldn't really see the enemy at all times. I had some friends of mine get shot. There's a story. We were clearing a building, and it was supposed to be unoccupied. Well, it was occupied. There's a lot of gunfire. The Marines teach us that we're tough and that we can deal with anything. Well, the longer I sat on it, the more it ate at me. And why did I come back? Why was I not laying there with my friends? I was drinking alcohol to kind of cope with it. I would shut myself down. I wasn't very sociable. I'd come home and just sit. I didn't want to go anywhere, and it got to the point where I didn't even want to go to work. One night I was sitting at the house. I'd been drinking alone, sitting around feeling sorry for myself. And after every drink, my hand got closer and closer to that pistol on the table. I put the pistol on the coffee table, and I just sat there and stared at it as I was drinking. And I'm like, why am I here? That kept popping up into my mind. Why? What purpose do I have? What makes me so much better than somebody that didn't get to come back?
Jared called me when I was at work one morning, and he just asked me to pray. And he told me that he'd found out that Casey was locked up in a house alone, drinking, with a pistol, and he wouldn't let anybody in. And I tried to call Casey, and he didn't pick up the phone, but I expected that. But I started messaging him through a website, just because I was going to do anything that I could.
Brody told me about some of the situations that he had been in, and for the first time I felt like I wasn't alone.
I was very open about my own testimony and my own struggles with depression and suicide prior to coming to know the Lord. And I think that me opening up about that, along with our connection in the duck blind at the Blast and Cast events, it helped Casey start to share with me. And he shared with me where he was at, and I prayed for him, and I began to just share the gospel with him over and over.
He typed up the sinner's prayer, and the first time I read it, I just quickly read through it just because I told him I was going to. But then later on, I probably read it 4, 5, 6 times, and each time it started making a little bit more sense.
I couldn't answer the questions that he had. I couldn't address the darkness, but I could let him know that God had made a bridge for him. That God had sent His Son to die for him, to give him purpose, and to bring him out of darkness. And that the reason that he made it out of that combat situation was because that God had a plan for his life.
And finally, probably 5th or 6th time I read it, it clicked. And from then on, it was like 1,000 pounds of weight just lifted off my shoulders in an instant. I think that my worth now is being able to let people know that they're not alone, that, everybody goes through something, and whether it's sharing God's word or, helping somebody out and trying to get them to God. My worth is community service. My worth is, teaching young kids, young adults, getting them ready, preparing them for the world.
This was a young man that now had hope. He was living for something different. The Lord had moved in his life. It was a 180. You hear the phrase being born again, and people don't know what it means, but I saw that in Casey's life. This was a different person.
That deep, dark place has taught me a lot, and from that I'm able to share some of the stuff that I was going through and how I came out of it.
It's a great story of redemption and what God can do in someone's life when they commit to follow Him, when they accept the grace that He offers, and then they commit to follow afterwards. You know, Casey struggled with the question of, why me? Why was I allowed to live and not someone else? And really the only answer to that is that it was God's will, that God had something greater for Casey's life. God had plans for Casey later on, and the Lord protected him.